Two men stand in the middle of a boxing ring. 21,000 people are screaming in Manchester Arena. Millions more are watching online. One is a kid from Watford who dropped out of school to play FIFA in his bedroom. The other is the biggest American YouTuber on the planet. They hate each other. The trash talk has been going on for months. The press conferences have been chaos. The internet has picked sides. This is not entertainment anymore. This is war. The fight ends in a draw. Nobody is satisfied. A rematch is announced. And the next time these two men meet in a ring, one of them will lose in front of the entire world. Now, here's the part that no one saw coming. 3 years after that fight, those same two men who wanted to destroy each other walked into a boardroom, shook hands, and launched a drinks brand together. That brand is called Prime, and within 12 months, it was valued at over $1.2 billion. This is not a story about boxing or YouTube. This is a masterclass in turning your biggest enemy into your greatest asset. Subscribe right now because stories like this don't come around often. Let's start with the kid from Watford. Olajide Olayinka Williams Olatunji was born on June 19th, 1993 in London. His parents are Nigerian from the Yoruba ethnic group. His father Jide was born in Ibadan. His mother Yinka is from Islington. The family settled in Watford, Hertfordshire, where Olajide, known to everyone as JJ, grew up alongside his younger brother, Deji. JJ was privately educated at Berkhamsted School, where he met a kid named Simon Minter, who would later become one of his closest collaborators. JJ was shy growing up, quiet, introverted. Not exactly the personality you'd expect from someone who would one day become the loudest voice on British YouTube. But in 2009, at 16 years old, JJ registered a YouTube account under the name KSI Olajide BT. KSI stood for Knowledge, Strength, Integrity, a name taken from a Halo gaming clan. He started uploading FIFA commentary videos from his bedroom. No studio, no budget, just a teenager screaming at a football game while a camera recorded. The channel grew fast. JJ was funny, aggressive, unpredictable, and completely unfiltered. By 2012, he had 1 million subscribers. He dropped out of college to go full-time on YouTube after realizing he was earning more per month than his own teachers. His parents were not happy about it at first, but when the numbers kept climbing, they came around. By the mid-2010s, KSI was one of the biggest YouTubers in the United Kingdom. He co-founded The Sidemen, a group of British creators that became a content empire. He launched a music career, released an EP that hit #1 on the UK R&B chart, and started diversifying into business. But the thing that truly launched KSI into a different stratosphere had nothing to do with gaming or music. It was violence. In February 2018, KSI fought fellow YouTuber Joe Weller in an amateur boxing match. He won by technical knockout in the 3rd round. Over 1.6 million people watched it live online. It was unprecedented. And in his post-fight speech, KSI looked into the camera and called out Logan Paul. If this story already has you locked in, drop a like right now. One tap. It helps push this to more people who need to hear it. Now, let's talk about Logan Paul. By 2018, Logan was one of the most famous and most controversial creators on the internet. He had nearly 20 million subscribers. He was loud, brash, and polarizing. He had been at the center of a massive scandal after filming in Japan's Aokigahara forest in late 2017, a video that sparked international outrage and temporarily derailed his career. But Logan was still massive, and when KSI called him out, he accepted. The first fight took place in August 2018 at Manchester Arena. It sold out, 21,000 seats, 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. It was called the biggest event in YouTube history and the largest amateur boxing fight ever staged. The The result was a majority draw. 2 judges scored it even. 1 gave it to KSI. Neither man was satisfied. The rematch was inevitable. On November 9th, 2019, KSI and Logan Paul fought again, this time at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. This time, it was professional. No headgear, no amateur rules. Real boxing. KSI won by split decision. It was close, it was controversial, and it divided the internet. But the scorecards said KSI. The kid from Watford had beaten the biggest YouTuber in America in a professional boxing ring. It should have been the end of their story. 2 rivals, 1 winner, 1 loser, move on. But that is not what happened. And this is where the genius begins. Somewhere between 2020 and 2021, KSI and Logan Paul started talking. Not as rivals, as businessmen. Both of them had learned something through their boxing saga that most creators never figure out. They had learned that the most valuable thing on the internet is not followers or views. It is attention. And the 2 of them together commanded more attention than almost any other 2 people on the platform. They understood that their rivalry had made them both more famous than they ever could have been alone. So instead of letting that energy die, they decided to bottle it. Literally. In January 2022, KSI and Logan Paul launched Prime Hydration, a sports drink, a simple product in one of the most competitive markets on earth, going up against giants like Gatorade and Powerade, brands backed by decades of history and billions in marketing budgets. Prime had none of that. What it had was 2 of the most famous faces on the internet and a combined social media reach of over 50 million people. The launch was explosive. Prime sold out within hours. Stores couldn't keep it on shelves. In the UK, bottles were being resold online for 10 times their retail price. Kids were queuing outside supermarkets before they opened. Schools started banning it. The media couldn't stop talking about it. Within its first year, Prime reportedly generated over $250 million in retail sales. By 2023, they signed a deal with Arsenal Football Club, appeared on the UFC Octagon, and landed a partnership with FC Barcelona. The brand was valued at over $1.2 billion. Let that sink in. 2 YouTubers who tried to knock each other unconscious built a $1 billion beverage brand together in under 2 years. No venture capital firm in the world would have predicted that. And the reason it worked is precisely because they were rivals first. The fight gave them the story gave them the attention gave them the audience, and the audience gave them the market. Now here's the honest part. Prime hasn't been without controversy. There have been questions about caffeine levels in some of their products. There have been regulatory investigations in certain countries. Logan Paul himself has faced separate criticism over his involvement in a crypto project. The brand has had to adapt and respond, but the core business keeps growing. KSI and Logan Paul turned a grudge into a business model and proved that in the modern economy, your biggest competitor might actually be your most valuable partner. And that is the lesson. Most people run from their rivals. They avoid conflict. They want to win and then forget the person they beat. KSI and Logan Paul did the opposite. They looked at the person who pushed them harder than anyone else and said, what if we built something together instead? The result was one of the fastest growing consumer brands in history. Your enemy might be your best business partner. Think about that. Now share this with someone who needs to see conflict differently.